All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome to another VVL podcast, social commentary, weekly roundup of social commentary and current affairs. I'm your boy Andrew Val, and tonight I want to welcome all our viewers locked in on Hype TV, how you picture entertainment, and also all our viewers locked in on Facebook and also on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much. So tonight we'll be talking about the corruption that's taking place at the FLA, all these stories and more. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We have the team in the building. I'm your boy, Andrew Val. I just want to say big respect and welcome to you all. It's Saturday, February 19th. Welcome, everyone. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is another VVL podcast, The Edition. Thanks to all our viewers, again, locked in on Hype TV, how you picture entertainment in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. We want to say a special shout out to all the peeps watching the playback. I do encourage you all, if you haven't yet started following us on Facebook, go ahead and follow us. Also, to remember, please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel at VAL'S Views Live. Thank you guys so much. You can catch us right here every Saturday where we bring you the latest in current affairs in the Caribbean. When they mix it, we fix it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Go ahead and share this live link. I don't see anybody made any comments yet in the comment section, but as soon as we see those comments, we'll definitely send you the shout outs. Geo in the building, Shelling Shells in the building. Tonight we have an interesting discussion. We're not here to play politics, but we're here to talk the truth. These are our views, and views expressed on VAL'S Views Live, they do not reflect that of Hype TV. Geo's views, Shell's views, Shell's views. My views, they're just my views. So we're not here to play politics. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So I think we are ready. Shells, if you're ready, we're gonna invite you on screen right about now. So tonight, guys, we're gonna talk about the Currie saga with the FLA. Also, we're gonna be talking about Tomlinson, that's Krystal Tomlinson, and Mr. Meadows, the former chairman of the FLA, and also Peter Bunting versus the current CEO of the FLA, Mr. Dallin. And of course, there's a big thing going on right now. Thank you. Yes, Tariq. I said FLA. Good night, Tariq. Welcome. That's your line, right? All right, cool. So let us bring our team in. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Geo, Shells, open up your microphones and let's get this show on the road. Corruption in Babylon, politics in Babylon, social spat between two known politicians, and we're gonna get your reactions and the reactions from our viewers. Thank you guys so much. Go ahead and share this on your page. Shelling Shells, Wagwan, how have you been?
Not much, me there.
Gio?
Hey, Gio, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Tell the guys on the street, I tell Andrew say, oh, I almost did forget. I'm a date night fatigue this because I just came in the house and I was like, wait, what time is it? And I was like, oh, man, I'm sure. But like always, my views are my views, and what's in my cup stays in my cup.
Definitely.
Okay, sir.
I called him Romed when he logged in earlier. I said, okay, Romed. He said, no rum tonight.
No rum.
And it just didn't feel good, so I just had to go back and get a refill.
All right, cool. So big respect to all our viewers. Tariq, I see you in the building. Anyone watching in want to send a big shout out. Black Star Views Entertainment. Thank you. Blessed love to you all. Thank you so much for your comment and thank you for watching. We encourage you to share this live link right about now. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and hit the subscription button and also turn on the post notification bell. If you haven't followed us on Facebook, we encourage you to do so right now. All right, so there's a lot been going on. It is now time for social views, and this is where we dissect, discuss, and we actually talk about all the views. Gio just jumped out for a while. I think his wife is saying, "Hey, Gio, come off, let's go to bed." But anyhow, I want to start out with this Shells in terms of the this story where the Maroon Chief is again, hold on, I think we jumped the gun just a little bit. Thank you, Madam Producer. The chief, the man himself, you notice that since Currie took the reins of becoming the chief, he has rarely he has actually stayed out of the media. Have you noticed that? First of all, it was a media spectacle to see him, and the ladies were going crazy, and the bridging said, "Yes, we finally have somebody young," and you know what I mean. But he's always been making the news, shells. I
Do,
mean,
do,
this
do
latest,
you think that those in politics are jealous of the attention that Curry's getting?
maybe,
Since the
maybe,
beginning,
maybe,
all they have been talking about is the new Maroon chief, and it's just, it begs to wonder, what's happening in the mind of those people who
maybe.
actually, I want them jealous. But
I don't
actually, he
know.
hasn't stayed out of the spotlight at all, at all, at all. It makes you wonder what is it about him that is not going away and is not staying quiet, why they're always picking on him and bringing him to the fore. What is it?
Well, I would assume that since he's trying to live up to the autonomy of his region and trying to be the sole protector of his community, they're trying to find a way to bring him under their heel.
And
So if you
and he's
want
bringing
your
change,
gun,
don't you?
yeah,
He's bringing change. He's trying to bring about change, and a lot of people don't like change, right? And
I
they will
mean,
fight it tooth and nail.
the system is the system. And if you're gonna do something where you're gonna oppose the system, I go try and sit on by your shoulder. You know what I mean?
Because I asked a question the other day, and I said, because I heard somebody made a statement about the up by Bobo Hill, and they're saying the sovereign. I said, so I said, is Bobo Hill sovereign?
I
Are
want to
there
sovereign
a
2%,
sovereign
but it
entity
matter
up there? So are there two sovereigns inside this sovereign nation of Jamaica? Is Jamaica a sovereign nation? Because I'm not too bright, So I had those
oh,
questions, and somebody did answer, and say that they were squatting and whatever
Who's
else, but
squatting?
they don't trouble the politicians and they don't trouble the police. So the police don't trouble them and the politicians don't trouble them. So more than likely, no, Curry figure sit on one side and stop be so loud and trouble the, when not trouble him and just go and do what the rest of Maroon chief them before me used to do, lay low and count and stop count cow and just drink milk and until him time done.
All right.
but
So, Gio, go ahead.
I was going to say, technically speaking, based off of squatters' rights and the laws that would apply, based off of when they changed those laws, everybody up above will like them supposed to own that piece of land, like from way back when them supposed to own the land, technically speaking.
Okay. I mean, hey. But anyhow, so the chief was issued 2 gun licenses, and apparently those permits expired from September 2021. That's why he was in breach. And it's very important that you read, because when we first heard the story, it kind of, sparked conversations, around in and around Jamaica and also outside of Jamaica as well. And they were saying, oh, they're targeting the chief. But after reading the article, you realize it's just a simple permit that, is expired. My question is, why did the media, why was this a big thing? It's just a simple permit that was expired. So the media, I think, they're conspiring to make this into a big deal. It was nothing. He just had permits and they were expired. Simple.
Because Andrew, if you go by the story that was printed in the media, you would assume that the man was carrying an illegal firearm.
Right.
They
Especially
gave the impression that he didn't have any license to carry it at all. And it was illegal. That was the
yes.
impression the media gave.
I don't know. Sometimes we have to just kind of, hold our own. Good night, Currie Hands. Of course, you don't know the Wet Sundays family. Tariq, I see your comment, but we kind of skipped past the sovereign thing. It wasn't really, focus wasn't really about the sovereign thing. But technically, you would be in breach because you were supposed to actually, reapply and you didn't reapply. So therefore, you'd be in breach. But it's not a big deal. Tariq has a comment. Let's go to Tariq's comment. He says, Currie specifically made utterances months ago that Jamaica had no authority to police his firearms. That is true, though. If he controls a sovereign state or boundary territory, I think he had to get the FLA permit because he would like to travel within Jamaica itself. And without that permit, then you would be illegally in possession of a firearm. So I don't question whether or not he had to boat to Babylon to get a permit, because then again, he has to travel around the Jamaica. So therefore, it would then warrant him going to the FLA to get a permit. So I'm not going to fight. Not saying Tariq said that, but a lot of talks been thrown about the place to say, oh, if you're so sovereign, then why do you need permission from the government of Jamaica to carry a permit? I don't think he needed a permit to carry his weapon in a compound. That wouldn't make any sense. And hey, I'm not here to discuss that or to debate that. So that's that for that. All right, cool. So we done clear it up. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, the paper wanted to sell some story. Hey, guess what? It did get a good sale. Gio. Tumbling down on the Meadows. Let's go. What's going on?
I should have asked you when this point was going to go up. We never know. We thought I segment we're not going to do. I thought it was later on. Anyways, on the right here we have Miss Tomlinson, former youth leader of the People's National Party and a former JLP representative / former leader of the FLA, the Firearm Licensing Authority of Jamaica. Mr.
Leader?
Meadows.
Wasn't he just the chairman?
Then, if you're the chairman, aren't you the leader?
I mean, but no. When you say the leader, still, it sounds like you're trying to give him, the CEO position. So I'm just trying to make sure that, because remember the CEO comes under fire too. I'm just trying to clarify that.
Okay, my apologies. So what we have here is a social media squabble, which most of the people who are involved in are political pundits, and it is purely a game of scoring points. However, for those who cared to point out, Mr. Meadows went way below the belt when he decided to point out that Miss Tomlinson was, the failed 13th baby mother of the king of the dancer.
So we have the comments up. So first, she attacked him, not in a violent way, but she said that Mr. Meadows is struggling to sound honest on this interview with Cliff Hughes. And I don't know if Shells want to do Mr. Meadows' part and read it. Can you see it, Shells? Can you read what his response was?
Mr. Meadows says, like you struggled to remain baby mother 13, but failed miserably. My effort was not to convince the likes of you. It's the futile effort to convince those fixed on finding a reason not to believe you.
Shells, let me ask you, do you think that his response was out of order, out of line? Was it disrespectful toward women?
Yes, it was. Yes. He went personal. Yeah.
I agree.
He went personal with that part of his response. You understand? He shouldn't have gone there. It is unbecoming of a male to even say those things to a female. Jamaican people refer to that as being a mama man, in all honesty. You don't, usually when a man try to trace a female like that, going on her personal, her reproduction and, where you're going to go, like, leave that alone. Say what you're going to say. Oh, who write that? All right, let me shut up.
So what I would say is this, right? One, Jamaican political characters only know all for trees. They leadership is something that is missing from the top. Anyways, I'll say that. Like, some of them can put on a good show, but anybody who has ever been to a sitting of parliament or even seen it on TV understands that these people have no modicum of what would be called leadership. The split between none of them. It's just a game. So the reason why I personally, what some of the views in the media that were shared, the word misogynistic was used. Misogynistic dictates that you have a hatred for or dislike for women. I generally don't think that, because the man himself have 4 kids, so obviously he had to get a woman pregnant 4 times, right? So I don't think it was misogynistic. I just think it was that he has no maturity in him to be able to sustain a constructive conversation, even if you're going to be negatively constructive to say something to somebody else, he could have even referenced the fact that she failed to, win a seat. He could have said that, But the thing is, by their very nature, Jamaican politicians have this thing about them where the only thing they know to do is argue. I remember seeing exchanges across parliamentary people. I say, "Oh, Betsy, you're not getting a road. Like, at them, I get the road, and not the people in them constituency." Right? It's just a game of who has the most power at the point in time. The problem is this, right? Everybody's going to jump on what he said when, in truth and in fact, Ms. Tomlinson was just looking for something to add to her speaker reel to say, "Oh, look, I spoke out at this particular point in time," because it's a game of politics. People are trying to score points. You could have shut up because ultimately speaking, you're not sitting in the parliament right now. You are making no changes. The only thing you're doing is preparing to run for the next campaign whenever them call the next election. So you try scoring cheap political points. He got very low in trying to defend himself and rebut, which, like I say, they lack maturity, so them now have no kind of creativity.
But that's what oppositions are there for, Gio. That's what they do. And if she commented that he didn't say what he was supposed to say, that shouldn't, it went suddenly left like from 0 to 100 real quick in his response. And usually people respond to things in such a manner when they know that it is factual. Whatever a person says, factual. Now say true thing, so them knows our facts, get defensive, and that is it. But
no, so what I'm saying is right.
Her talking.
No, so what I'm saying is this, right? In war, you have what they call as a proportional response. Somebody do something, you do something of proportional value. Jamaican politicians don't have that about them. They don't understand how to maturely have a constructive or negatively constructive conversation. So everything for them turned into politics. He saw what she was doing as something to score political points. Now, he's not a member of parliament anymore, right? Regardless of whether or not she's standing up on an issue, she could have remained quiet about it. I'm not blaming her because, like I said, his response was wrong, but it's the fact that politicians in Jamaica have no tact whatsoever when they're breaking down any issue, so they don't know how to stay on point. It's just a game of you are try score and make sure if you can step on your score where you try score. He wasn't thinking at the time.
Because when I first saw the postings on social media, the first thing came to mind was, wow, that was a low blow. I agree with Shells. It is definitely a low blow. But also, Gio, I agree with you that in Mr. Meadows' head, no right for him to do it. But in his head, Shells, he was just saying, "Oh man, he just has said this because of politics." So to him, he felt as if he was punched below the belt.
So why didn't he say that? Why didn't he say you're just saying it's because you're trying to score, as current to Gio, a cheap political point? Why didn't he just say that? Because that's what politicians do, not just in Jamaica, everywhere.
Yes, hold on. Yes, but that wouldn't punch her hard enough as much as she punched him. Exactly. So as you say, it's a mama man thing. I do agree with you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We agree with you.
The thing is, what I think, I'm happy that this would come out, and this should be our main narrative right now, is to say this is what happens when politicians play as if they care when they really don't care, because her main intention wasn't to speak out on behalf of the Jamaican people. Yeah. In my opinion, her main intention wasn't for that. Her main intention was, according to what Gio and I agree, was to score a political point. No politician ever speak out on behalf of the people, really. It is always about what they can get from this as a reward politically. And I think that's where the issue is for me.
If I could say something, right, and me only try to bring a little bit more perspective to it. The average Jamaican does not give a rat's bleep about what is happening in the FLA. Why? The average Jamaican can't afford to get any through the front door of the FLA for much as find out whether or not they qualify for a license for a licensed firearm. See what I'm saying? So when you do things like this is only speaking to your agenda, not the average Jamaican, because the majority of people who vote, they will never dream of owning a firearm in their life, in their lifetime while them living in Jamaica.
All right, let's go to this one. And of course, Shells, this is right down your alley. Sexist and narcissist. Why is it that man can talk down to women, but a man can have all the women and still be like a boss?
And you know, the politicians, the men in parliament are always so disrespectful to the females in parliament. Over and over and over again, we see them take very low blows of the female. And the one in power now try to sideline all of that by having couple women, well, in parliament to show that, hey, we want to change the narrative. But really and truly, we
And
have
that's
seen
another
so
right.
many things happen. So many things happen to the very women that are in there, and some of the men inside of there doing and saying things that is not of what the belief that the leader wants to portray, that, you know, they are women supportive and everything else. It needs to stop.
I
It
agree.
needs to stop. Like, you know, since a woman is not, don't dare say certain things. As a matter of fact, if a woman say it about a man, him friend them lick him pan him chest or pan him shoulder and him beat him chest and them thing
Yes,
and
boss.
say yes. You understand? I don't do that. And that piece, that him know that him right, but hey, it's to stop.
All right, let's take a look at his apology. Shells, and first when you saw this came up on screen earlier, your reaction was a little bit not surprising, but a lot of people are saying that, who wrote this? Is this really an apology, or he just put this out there to save face? It's like damage control.
It's even worse than what, to me, it's even worse than what we said initially.
You think so?
Yes.
I'll say this much. I know that he personally wrote this because not because we know him. I can tell that he personally wrote it because there was no PR machine behind it. One,
Oh
the
yeah,
fact that the
right.
fact that
I see where you're going.
he used the word misogyny and threw it back in the forefront again. Like, the thing is this: anybody working at PR make you understand and say, like, certain words you don't use because the words themselves carry a lot of value.
Trigger.
And it's
Right,
going
it's
to trigger
trigger something.
people still. So the fact that he used misogyny in there, people are always going to remember him for that term, right? And then secondly, talking about the affront to women's reproductive rights and choice, like, ultimately speaking, me personally, even though Krystal brought that up in her rebuttal to him, I don't saw where someone was trying to disrespect her reproductive rights. See what I'm saying? Because he never said, "Oh, you should not have gone
That's
and had a
true.
baby for Beanie." That right there was something that she,
But
again,
he said it, not in so many
no,
words.
no, he
He
didn't
said,
say it.
yes,
No,
baby
he
mother
didn't say it.
number
No,
13.
no, wait, let me show you something. No, you have some people who argue like this now. They'll tell you, if I say something that is factual, it is a fact. It is not me trying to be rude. So if you are baby mother number 13, you are baby mother number 13. That is
No,
nothing
but
to do.
He said
Gio,
she
on a real
failed
note, Gio,
miserably, like he did.
No,
that
wait,
was
wait.
always, hold on. That was always the talking point for labor rights, though.
Yep.
All right. But the thing
Yeah.
is this, right? Whether or not she failed to be baby mother number 13 does not mean that he was disparaging her for her reproductive choices. See
True.
what I'm saying?
I agree with that
That
part.
right there,
Right.
that right there is coming from somebody who is smart and politically savvy. She knew what words to use, because which person in Jamaica here talk about women's reproductive rights? Nobody in Jamaica from have abortion. Reproductive rights and choice is a political topic from the US, where a right-centered talk about women who are able to have abortions and decide whether or not they want to have a baby, yes or no. That's not what he was talking about. So that is just I should say, expertly
Skew the
executed
whole
choice
thing.
of words to
Right.
skew it even
Right.
further.
Right.
If I was responding to it, I would have never even brought that up in my response, because I ain't that me that try to say.
I mean, then again, it was too far down the rabbit hole, and that's his fault. He has to deal with it.
Exactly. He
You know what I
opened the
mean?
door for all that to happen.
Right. So therefore, Mr. Meadows, you're wrong for this, and we can't even blame Krystal if she wants to score political points with it. But you should have, chosen your words carefully, and
We just
then
need smart people in politics. That's what it is. Like, we need people who can actually have a constructive conversation, whether or not it's going to be for or against, without feeling like, say, me need to thump in their face to prove a point. Because that's all he tried to do. And the thing is this, right? I always say this, women's power is in their words. So you don't need to try to trace down a woman. As a man, you're supposed to just understand when she just says something, I'm just making a roll over my shoulder and just go on about your business. Simple.
That's true. All right, so here we go. We are going to move on now, because the FLA has, saturated the space of, local media and social media with all that's going on at the FLA, and of course we want to dissect that. So just in case you're just tuning in, guys, welcome. This is VAL'S Views Live. This is what we do every Saturday right here. Geo in the building, Shelling Shells, the beautiful Shelling Shells in the building. Of course, thank you guys for your comments so far. So we have covered two items that we kind of breezed through the Currie one because I don't think it was that important to make the news anyway. But we understand that news
Newspaper
media.
also.
Right. Well, newspaper they have not sell. It's more clicks now, and hey, just bring traffic to them. Also, we just spoke about the Meadows versus the Tomlinson saga, and of course, we give a beating to Mr. Meadows because it was a low blow, and of course, that was out of line. But anyhow, we can't play politics. There was politics definitely in the midst of that, and we understand why. Here is another story that surfaced, and I think it's very important. And I kind of see where the CEO is coming from, and I also see where the opposition is coming from. But first, let us hear from the opposition in their response to what's actually taking place at the FLA, where shadow cabinet member, of course, you don't know, Mr. Bunting, is calling for the resignation of the now CEO of the FLA. And here is our clip that we're going to play, and then we react to his opinion. Here we go.
The opposition has observed with concern the allegations and counter allegations of corruption traded between two JLP operatives, both with intimate knowledge of the operations of the Firearms Licensing Authority under this JLP administration. While it is difficult to discern the entire truth without the benefit of a report from an independent investigation, it is evident that the FLA has become a cesspool of corruption over the last 6 years. The opposition is calling for the Minister of National Security and the board of the FLA to remove Shane Darling as CEO for his poor performance, especially in light of Mr. Darling's own admission that he can't fix the troubling issues plaguing the entity. Further evidence of poor governance and non-performance is the fact that the controversy-riddled entity has not even submitted an annual report to Cabinet since 2016-2017 fiscal year. This is based on the information on the Cabinet Office's website, which has been updated in February 2022. The opposition is also calling on the Integrity Commission to complete the investigation into corruption in the issuance of firearms licenses by the FLA. That investigation was started by the Office of the Contractor General in 2017, but it was derailed by the government prematurely bringing into effect the new Integrity Commission Act, even though no transitional arrangements had been made for its operations at that time. While the opposition is aware of the limited investigative resources available to the Integrity Commission, it is imperative that given the threat to national security, this investigation be prioritized and the report submitted to Parliament as soon as possible. Mr. Darling has a penchant for alarming statements to the media, ranging from the discovery of a gun-making machine in Manchester.
All right, let's just pause it right there, for a bit. And I think I want to kind of go to a moment in his statement or a point rather, in his statement where he says that the FLA has become a cesspool for 6 years. That I don't agree with. It has always been a cesspool. Because remember, Gio and Shells, Mr. Wedderburn, who was then the CEO between 2012 and 2016, resigned because of controversial gun permits. 2 gun permits were issued for 1 gun back between the time of him being the chief executive officer. So for Mr. Bunting to say that it has become, a cesspool of corruption for the past 6 years, I think is misleading and not accurate. And for him to be calling for his resignation based on the CEO doing and have found that there were some irregularities, I applaud him for carrying out that. But I think in all fairness, I think, he should resign because it's leadership. And as Gio said earlier, that the captain must go down with the ship. But before we go into that, do you feel like all of this just started since 6 years ago, guys? And notice I asked the word, I use the word feel because we know that it didn't just start since 6 years ago.
Shells, you want to go first?
Can I say hell no? Hell no.
Okay.
It is as the FLA's corruption has been as corrupted as from its inception. And changing the captain won't change nothing. Because it's just Jamaica is just a cesspool of corruption where people can go where they want to go, pay some money here, pay some money there, grease some palm, do whatever, and you get what you want. Once you have your money, you get what you want. Now, some of those very politicians who sit there and try to do and say whatever about others, I have to clean up for them up first before them call down calamity upon somebody else. Because the head of the stream is so muddy. Like when they go down at the lake where them used to do backside. That's the head of the stream. How dare some of the politicians them come talk things about people? In all honesty, them must stand in for them resignation first. And then move it right down along everybody. So me see it clean up everything and everywhere. You see how the police force look like they're on the ball. So we want to see government start clean up itself. And then you can move on to entities affiliated to the government. After all.
Tariq agreed with you, Shells, without a doubt. And it's funny how both you think in the same way.
Exist.
So this is what I'm saying. I know that you can't fool everybody, but you have a lot of people who are gullible, especially comrades. When it comes to suiting them, they're gonna run with what Mr. Bunting is saying. And the labor rights are coming, they're gonna come in defense of their government, of their leader. And I understand it. But this information, it is very misleading and that's the sick part about it. But Gio, I just want your reaction. Let me just play the CEO's response first, and then we can continue to actually, give a review on this whole, saga between Bunting and Mr. Dallin. Here is Mr. Dallin's response.
Prematurely bringing into effect the new Integrity Commission Act, even though no transitional arrangement
seed of any public official or public servant would dare go to the public and speak about activities taking place within their organization. Nowhere can anyone point to any file that I have signed as a CEO or any wrongdoing that I've done. This call for my resignation comes on the heel of my disclosing in detail about activities at the FLA, which started in 2014. I have placed facts before the public, and I've invited the media. I've also invited the members of the Internal External Affairs Committee of Parliament to come and look at what I'm talking about. To date, none of that has taken place, and I've been asked to be fired for exposing something and for activities done prior to my coming to the FLA, and for systems that are being fixed and corrective measures that are being made. The board, chaired by Major General Anderson and now by Colonel Carter, has taken decisive steps to fix the problem and revoke those licenses that were approved irregularly. Shane Dallin, as the CEO, and no other CEO can approve gun licenses. And therefore it begs the question, what exactly am I being asked to be fired for?
You're being asked to quit the job because it's under your leadership that a few of these illegal gun permits were issued. And he has a point. Some of what he discovered, those were actually done prior to him becoming the CEO. This is my issue now, I think he should resign, as you say, Gio, in all fairness, because Mr. Wedderburn had to resign based on those 2 permits that were issued to one gun, and he was asked to resign. In fact, I think he was forced to resign, politically pushed out. So it's just return the favor or being vindictive because you push out Wedderburn, so we're going to push you out. So politics is being played right there. And in all fairness, if you're the captain of the ship, the ship going down, you better go with the ship. Don't try to run out of it. But what's alarming to me is that why is it that the main focus is not on the 200 illegal permits that were discovered being the big talking point? Why are we so
regular something?
asking
Regular something. Hide
Exactly.
regular something, Andrew. Every time something huge comes up, something is done to distract the majority, where nobody speaks on that anymore, because hey, there's something hotter for you to talk about. Same thing with the man named in the IPA money in the education.
Oh yeah.
Read
Every time
R-E-A-D read.
every time something comes up, there's some distraction, or oh, let's not talk about this, let's talk about that. So they want to push their narrative, and because sometimes some of the media houses are polluted with politics, they run with whatever story they want to run with, and that's what we see in the media. The media drives people's minds.
Listen, the major contributors to the media houses are people who are politically affiliated, and people don't want to lose their sponsorship. So for the most part, people are going to focus on the headlines that are going to get them some new subscriptions, whether or not them are go digital or people are buy the paper, but they're never going to chase down anything. And it's because Jamaica is an interconnected web of this, and I'm going to say air quotes, cesspool corruption. I hate that word when it comes to Jamaica, you see, because cesspool is a trigger word that people use because everybody now get to know cesspool stink. You know what I mean? But nobody really cares. It's just that word that you use because they want to show how bad the thing is. Shells is 100% right. They have the addresses and the information for all those 200 people who they could actually go back to and say review whether or not it was legal or illegal, yes or no, how they got that done, right? But for the politicians, for them, it just comes to the, no, me not like that brother, yeah? May I try to score some points, so we need to get this guy out of the job because they did the same thing to us. See, that's what it really boils down to. It's just politics at play. People are trying to show cinema, take affirmative action to make it seem like they're, for change and they're against corruption. But in truth and in fact, for me personally, anybody who says, I can't fix the problem that I went there and see, you go home. It means that you are not the right person for the job. That for me is the reason why you should resign. Not for the political points of, oh, we force out him, so we're going to force out you. Jamaican people on a whole suffer from this assume come seat mentality. And if you are the leader and you get chosen to pick the job and you just say, boy, assume come seat, then you're not the right person. What is this thing that is, there's this thing that permeates all of Jamaican culture from the top to the bottom, where everybody is just so resistant to change. Because if they come see, the crap don't let the fan idea that fly everywhere. I should not ask anybody to clean up the situation, or I should not take action and clean up the situation, because you know what? I'm going to upset the people who put me there, and they're probably going to tell me to go home anyways. So
when is there ever a case where people put in positions really know or fit for the position?
Yeah, that is true.
You know what I mean? So hey, so at the end of the day, it's always the cry of, but I saw me come see it and all of that.
And you know what's funny? Even when Tarek mentioned in the comments that it was
this
corrupt. No man, the one that said it was corrupt even before it started. They must have the FLA. Right. Show you something. Before they started the cannabis licensing authority, the CLA in Jamaica, I remember when I look on some people and I said to them, say, the reason why they are cracking down so heavily on all of the people who have farm ganja right now is because they're going to make a shift and they want to follow the trend that's coming out of Europe and all these other places and the US, where people, them approve the sale of cannabis. And what you're going to find is people will come tell you how much cannabis you can sell, and you're going to need which license to get it. And then so said, so done. Now, if you look at the majority of the people who sit on the board of the cannabis licensing authority, 3/4 of them are politicians. Some of them never smoke weed a day in them life, but them can tell you how to regulate weed. And it's just as a simple matter of the small man did have the monopoly on weed first, and we wanted to take our cut, so we do what we need to do. FLA, even though you have to take guns off the street and all that, practically boil down to the same thing, because Jamaican ain't make gun with too tough.
Hold on, they take guns off the street, guns. They take guns off the street or they put guns on the street.
In this case, they're putting guns on the street, but they want to have it done in a controlled manner. And if we can,
I'm just
if we
messing
can
with
take,
you, Gio.
if we can take 70 girls off of
You have to respond. All right, you're not for respond, Gio. I was just messing with you. Thanks to Stephen Duckley who just tuning in. Jackie, I see you in the building. Tariq, I want to go to this comment. I mean, I get what you're saying, but if it wasn't an issue, then it wouldn't have been brought up. It wouldn't have become a big thing. We understand that politics is also behind it, but then why is the CEO coming under pressure for these 200 permits that didn't follow the rules of the FLA in terms of issuance of licenses? You know what I mean? I get it. And another disturbing fact that came out as well, guys, and I think I want to go to that clip right now, is this where the CEO made this announcement during a press conference. Let's take a listen.
Was convicted of rape, robbery with aggravation, and illegal possession of firearm ammunition, and was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. At the time of the sentence, it was 1999, and 15 years were taken to 2014. Jackie later applied for a firearm license. All the reports by the investigators, the director of investigation, the police, went against Jackie getting a license. The board of the FLA at the time denied Jackie a license in June 2016 on the basis that he's not fit and proper to hold a firearm. But signed approving Jackie in getting a firearm license. No appeal, no new application. The decision is granted for him to get a license. Now, I want to state that my check so far revealed over 200 such cases of persons with criminal trace, criminal conviction, who have been approved firearm licenses. Now, I want to say.
All right, so let's pause this right there. So, according to Tariq's comment, it is okay to issue gun licenses to criminals because he said it's not illegal. The 200 permits are not actually illegals. It is not against the law in Jamaica to issue a permit to someone with a criminal record. Then what is the big deal? What is the big deal?
Big deal is whoever is being paid, because if the board say no, and then nobody make an appeal and somebody get a license, money run.
So then they should make that be the main talking point. Then it should have been who I get money for issue gun license.
Well,
it should be about. You get me? Say it shouldn't be about criminal records and this and that. It should be about that internal issue, and that's why the CEO, I think, in all honesty, should just go.
It should be a talking point because it should be legal. If some people are found to do certain kind of crimes, they shouldn't be allowed to have firearms.
No, I get that, Lucius, but the narrative sounds, the main narrative is actually taking the line where you're saying that these people shouldn't have a firearm. Yes, they shouldn't, but the main issue is, as to what Tariq is trying to say, is that even though you might have a criminal record, it doesn't mean that you can't get a permit. It's just that somebody will actually give you a backdoor deal. It's like, saying that you're not supposed to get a driver's license because XYZ, and then somebody pay and then get the driver's license. So it is not illegal to issue a driver's license to somebody who can't really drive because they failed the first test. But guess what? You failed the first test, so therefore I am going to pay me and I give you a license. I think that's where the problem is for me now, based on this comment. And it's very disturbing because, guys, guess what? According to the CEO, he said that 10 months after Jack Currie was denied, he was given a permit.
The only reason why it's troubling for me, Andrew, I there Jamaica, them tell me say me did too easily vex. That was the reason for me. You're too easily vex. You're not gonna pass it. You're not gonna pass the background checks and nobody go in there.
Real?
Yeah.
They told you that you're too angry?
No, not them. But when media want to do it, as a part of it, they would have done a background check to find out from people what your temperament was like and whatnot. People know me, tell me, say, don't call me, I tell them, say, too easily vex. So me now make I get it. So me never have Jackie or kind of luck. Me never rape nobody, never beat nobody, never got to prison, but me vex quick. And you know the funny thing is, I remember being at the bus station in Halfway Street.
Hold on, Jay. I want to go to Tariq's
Yes.
comment as well.
Yes.
Finish what you're gonna say, and then let's highlight.
Yes, I'll leave a comment there. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it up. So Gio,
okay.
Go ahead.
So maybe at the bus station already in a Jamaica, right? And see a man because one high school youth say something we never like, just take him gun out of the house and drape him up and start slapping with it. And in another instance, me there at the Texaco there at the intersection of Boulevard and Mullines Road. And just because one youth wear white glass, spray him water back up on a man window, the man come out, draw him gun, drape up the youth and tell him say, oh, to clean it up. And everybody there in Jamaica, you know, based on how me see them reactions that them people never did have none. Me certain say them pay somebody.
Straight. I get it. All right. Shells, you want to respond to Tariq's comment because you were very
because we keep talking.
Right.
Yeah, because we keep talking about things because it is said in the media for real. And the law is the problem in this country. Extinct laws that no longer serves us, because the same law thing that will come up shortly. Did you hear how far back the laws? They go far back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. The laws is part of the problem, because if the laws were in place and these persons get the firearms, we're talking about known criminals with background having used firearms to commit heinous crimes, getting firearms, and it's not illegal. And nobody's talking about that. It not respond nobody conscience. We say, no. You're talking about something totally different, off tangent, gone down, detour, gone down at one place. And you're not talking about when you're going to change that laws. And so if you change the boss of FLA and the laws are still there, nothing will change really, if you think about it. Because remember, the previous boss of FLA resigned because things were found, and then this one they're asking him to resign for the same thing. But so the problem is still going to be there. The house not really clean.
But you know what? The disturbing thing, though, is when him say, I don't sign off on these licenses. So why are you coming at me? Then you should have tell the man before you for go back in a film position, because he had nothing to do with those issuances of the illegal permits, then, so to speak. So you see, when it comes to you carrying the burden now, all of a sudden you're not responsible. I mean, I'm just saying that he should have given back the position, because just kind of insert my own feelings and my opinion. But 6.5 does not the other. If you need to go, you need to go, because you will and accept a position that was vacant based on somebody who took the initiative to walk. So you're absolutely right, Shells. You didn't go in there and make much of a difference.
He didn't want to go because for him it's just a job, right? And you have to understand there's a paycheck that's tied into that, and that's a general problem. Heavy lies the head that wears the crown. Only applies if nothing is going wrong. But if something go wrong that I didn't know about, I shouldn't be asked to resign, because guess what? I'm a job you try to take from me. Leave me alone. I didn't know nothing about it, right? Yes. And you know the funny thing is, when Shells brought that up a while ago, it reminded me of this thing that I used to say all the time. The laws that exist in Jamaica were not written by Jamaicans for Jamaicans.
Right.
And it extends further to Shells' question earlier when she's like, is Jamaica a sovereign nation? No, because even the very laws that govern the country were created by somebody else, and we just run along. None of them support or are in favor of sustained life for Jamaican people as they are right now. And Jamaica is still a young enough country where all these things could be changed, but they want to change that, because if you change the status quo, then it means we can get through with less, as opposed to all the things that may get away with right now.
That's true. Moyen has a very strong point too, and I think what stood out to me in this, she says that if she was a serving member of law enforcement, then she would have resigned. She would have actually, walk out. And it's funny because a lot of Jamaicans will never ever take that stance. They will never ever walk out because of I didn't say all Jamaicans. I just say some Jamaicans would never walk out. So Moin, kudos to you if you see where, you know what I mean, corruption is dead, and you don't want to stay in dead, you know what I mean? So we are, I think we're 25 to 30 years behind in terms of fixing everything. So you know what that simply means?
More than that.
Okay.
More than that.
See?
More than that. If let me just, and I said this before on the show, but if we are talking about even just in relation to development, in 2008, the required GDP per capita for get what would have been first world status based off of where Jamaicans are run down for the longest while would have been like some 834 US dollars, right? That's per person on average on a monthly basis. The average Jamaican person still doesn't get that now in 2022. So use that, extrapolate and multiply by 5 and say where Jamaica is on the developmental spectrum in relation to economics, laws, and just how society are run on a regular basis and political norms that we have. And you understand that me and you are got dead before Jamaica get 10% closer to where we need to be in a 2008. That's it.
True. Makes sense. All right, cool. So we done with Bunting and Darlin. I mean, both of them have for them paycheck are coming them good. It's just that I would say that, you know, CEO Darlin, I think it's only fair for you to step down. And I hope that whoever else is put in that position, if they're willing to put somebody else in that position anytime soon, they would definitely, you know, do their work. And I'm happy that you have found out that, you know, there are 200 cases that needs to be investigated. Those cases need to be investigated. And I implore you guys to go ahead and investigate.
Do you think that maybe he is letting all of this known to the public because he's trying to save his A?
Hey,
well,
that's it.
Yes, that's it though.
That's it. Because what he asked was this: when did he start investigating to find that 200? Not more than somebody say, yo, hey, guess what? Them raise one inquiry, you know, and them I want to ask if they step down, you know, we need something. Yeah. Because my son say, him never start look panic in 2000 and whenever him did come in, the last
16, well, years. 2016, 17, right.
6 years now, me are looking at this, I'm find 200.
And there's more though, you know. It's probably more, you know. I feel like there's more.
There was more, but those were the ones that they brought to the front.
This is the very top information.
And guess who them threw under the bus first? Jack Ure. If you notice in his press conference, him said Jack Ure, and him try reload Jack Ure rap sheet, you know, to be like, hey, look, man like Jack Ure. And as a matter of fact, I think a Don, a Jamaican Don, and also people who have been convicted abroad and served.
I never call the Don name. I never like that. If you might call Jack Ure name, call the Don name.
Exactly.
I call it 200 people name.
Why you call only Jack Ure's name?
Running from Jack Ure, wicked.
Look what I go on. Jack Ure done a serve him time already, you know. Isn't me? Jack Ure done their prison already. Yeah, call the boss name.
See, one well-known Don was given 4 gun permits, and a convict who returned to Jamaica after
Jack Ure was only given 1.
Tried.
And a Jack Ure name get called.
In the United States was also given 4 gun permits. So you know call it that name and the convict. Hey, privacy? No. So what to Jack Ure privacy?
True Cure guy, Europe go get locked up, and Cure did get locked up in Jamaica. You must say, you know, that one then nobody now got to export.
Yeah, Cure a bad name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cure a bad boy. Cure get trouble. Shells, you're right. You're absolutely right. Why not call? And I'm happy that I remember that, because I'm saying, look at the double standard though. Come on. Even put out the 200 name them then, if that's the case. So people afraid if you take a backdoor dealer under the table deal. But hey, that run Jamaica. Our next item right now I want to go to is, why do we have to wait until it get to our doorsteps in order to, you know, show that we care? And I'm not trying to be insensitive about this matter, but guys, I'm going to highlight it. Now, according to the Jamaica Observer, a young boy was shot last year. Let me remove my my lower third so that you guys can actually see. the headline. It says mother of paralyzed 16-year-old wants help, stiffer gun penalties. And we're going to segue right into the new gun penalties and new gun legislation that was tabled by the Minister of National Security and, of course, fully endorsed by the government of Jamaica. And I see the Prime Minister is also calling on people to become informers, and I don't mean it in any negative way. Tell where the guns them there, and you'll be rewarded. You'll be given $250,000 to $500,000 Jamaican dollars if you bring in your guns. Also, it is a part of the gun amnesty where the national security minister says that he can pretty much call for an amnesty period where you can bring in all your illegal guns. We're going to dissect that. But let's first talk about this case. So, as I said, I am not trying to sound insensitive, guys, and I'm making sure that y'all get me. Gio, I think you understand me, and Shells, you understand me as well. But why is it that, because my brother was shot and injured by gunmen, and it took him 10 years before he passed. And he was paralyzed for those 10 years, bedridden, had bed sores and all of that, because the bullet was still lodged in there. So I didn't start campaigning for it since he got shot. It was even before that. But why is it that we wait until it's knocking at our door, then we, all of a sudden become concerned? A lot of Jamaicans, yes, they are concerned, but they're also afraid. And a lot of us, we just turn a blind eye. We don't really care. But it's good that parents are now calling for the government to stiffen the punishment. They call it for stiffer punishment, to light fire under the government, to really and truly step up and do something about it. And here we are. I see they're using political, stones to throw at each other, where, as in, I think Mark Golding had asked for the commissioner to resign, and all of a sudden guns are being found across Jamaica and scammers are being killed. Hey, why are we making this into a political thing? If 200 guns, they might find 200 guns and scammers are go to jail. Why are we saying, oh yes, it's working, the opposition is working, and then based on polls, the opposition isn't looking that good either? So I don't think it's a politics thing. We should be focusing on that. We should be focusing on every Jamaican feeling safe. But anyhow, let's not focus much on this. As I said, I don't want to seem insensitive. The reason why I bring it up is because it goes to show that sometimes some of us only care when it's knocking at our doorsteps. Guys, let's talk about it. Do you think that it's a fair punishment to give them 15 to life? And I start with Shells first. Shells, what's your reaction to that? It's now tabled. They're waiting to pass that bill.
Look here, if a man has an illegal firearm, or even a legal one, you have an intention. And that's how me think about it. The minute you decide that you're going to get a gun license to carry a legal firearm, you have the intention that at some point you may have to use it. And when you use it, it may cost a life. When a man goes out of his way to get an illegal firearm, he has an intention. And by all means, take them off the street, because we see what happens. Right? It may not be mass shootings like in terms of, but it is mass shootings, because we see them like every week. There is a mass shooting somewhere. Here in Jamaica, we are a reactive nation, and we continue to be a reactive people. And that's the issue, Andrew, is that most of us do not care until it happens to either us or somebody that we're close to or we love them dearly. And that is when we pay attention and we care. And if you're somebody with little clout, or you know somebody who knows somebody, or you're affiliated in any way, your case goes to the forefront of everything, and it instigates change. Sometimes, which is fine by me, because that's how the world go. We born come sit and we are going to sit. Some of we are going there and sweep the floor, and some of we are going up there so I throw the garbage down for the rest of we sweep. And I don't mind if one case or two case instigates change. But yeah, may agree, as stiff as the penalty can be, do it, man. Because right now, as I always describe it, it's no longer a little scrape. It's a big old festering wound. And we don't make guns here. We don't make, well, they make bullets here, but they don't make guns here. I heard.
They do.
I heard
you see the amount of homemade firearms that was discovered about 3 or
and
so.
the gun making machine that was found. And that is why I don't want nobody can ask me which part me know a bullet I make. In the media, me see it. I hear say them a thief copper wire and I use it. I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it. It was just what I heard. All right.
The chance don't come to me.
Me put that out. The door come for me. Me never see none. Me not even know. Me not see bullet online. Me know what it look like. Never hold on gun. I'm not
You
saying.
know something,
Right?
Shells. You know
It's in the
something.
media. I heard they are going making bullet making machine here that was found and blah blah blah. So I'm just saying the guns are not manufactured here unless it's a homemade gun. So when somebody have an illegal firearm, they have an intention, and we see what their intentions are because they are merciless if you're caught. And a lot of times these people are innocent. And I say that to say this, Andrew. Yesterday, I think I went over on Instagram last night, and I see Jamaicans for Justice saying that the police, too much police shootings are going on. I mean, I say, where them people are there? Where were they in January when we had a much in murders, and 2021 when we had so many children in their beds getting shot, dying? Quiet test people them here for years. We not hear from them people there. And them come and say police are killed too much people. And I'm like, that's a problem with where we live. We react to some things, but we think it's an important way. But I agree. If they can make it stiffer, go ahead and make the penalties stiffer.
That's their job. That's their job to always.
But they're not doing it, Andrew. If you just go and come out 5 years, it's say for instance, it's been 5 years since we heard from you, and then all of a sudden, when the police step up their game and gunmen die who are wanted for multiple murders, you're gonna come out and say what? What you gonna say? Where were you when the children were being killed by these very gunmen? That's my question. So if you're going to do your due diligence, do it in a way where it reflects a balance.
That's true. I agree. Gio, what's your reaction? You must have a different point of view, but in the positive.
Yeah, man. So Shell said something August saying, whenever a big name person get drawn up and them case get brought before the public and it inspires some kind of change. The funny thing is with that is not change. Now I say if it be but it's true. It's not change. It is a controlled narrative. Because what we have to understand is this, the poor man in there, Jamaica never bring in no gun by himself, The majority of the gun them are flock to show like for the people them who can afford to send in gun now, even when them are sending gun now, them not sending no military, barracks full of gun. Them still are sending a 1-1 and 2-2 because them are fair try disguise it as best as possible. But the majority of guns that are in Jamaica right now were brought in under political influence. Politicians created the situation as it is at hand, and then so you see them lose control like little by little. Them decide, yeah, we have to rein in the one over there. So because me come from the ghetto, and me know say my family they integrally involved in the politics. I seen some of these things first, and me see councillor meet with bad man. Me see when man and man come together, and politicians have to sit down at the table with man we around the area and say, hey, this is what it is. When the situation look bad, they know exactly who is doing what and when, but it's because they themselves don't necessarily want to police all these areas at the time, and then figure more or less that some of the times that means or it's a means of political end for them. Then they just swoop in and decide, yeah, we'll just clean up everybody and call it a day. It's funny? From a personal story, right? Shell's just mentioned earlier, somebody will go away for some time and then come back. Remember when I last time there was a host. It's when I started got church heavy. Me go up at one of my church brethren in my house one day and say, me I call him and tell him, say, you need to come back to church now, because me and him that go to church and we're a little boy and him used to preach as a little boy. I say, dog, say, do we grow up in the same church together? Why you come church tonight? See? Why you come church tonight? And me I left him house. I walk on the same strip where the church step and as me step out of the yard, maybe my little fade a cut and go back so. Buck up on this rasta bed and I say, all right, cool. We'll see the bed there. 2 hours walk, I go down the road, same say, so how are you? Yeah, police. I say, no, I'm a church brother, I'm just gonna look for you now. Me I walk, I go down the block. Literally like just 100 meters from the church there. I said, nah, church, me go, the church brother, I'm going to call her. I'm a look from me left to right, I'm a talk him and I'll go back. All the experiences me have gone in my life now, so I'm not too bothered by all the things, but then I tell it different. Because this man look for me, I'm say, oh, I'm going, yeah, right, I'm say, I make up my mind about whether or not I'm for shooting, you know. I'm say, all right then. I'm say, church, me I go. I continue walk. Only if you see me look to my side and the man comes to now when me I come to me reach about 20 feet from the church and the man comes so. I'm see him pull out something well chrome. I'm look me up and down. I'm look for him and say, oh, you all right? I'm just a come so. And I look up and down, I have the gun in my man. Reach in the church, him go about in business. Somebody here say it happen, and then them send come to me and say, oh, them want to know. Because through them see me at church now, them not feel like send me I go say them to do something. I'm say, all right, me not go tell them to kill nobody on my behalf. But you're not supposed to know what I do. This man just come out of prison at first, you know, to make him feel like him a man a give him a gun again. And the essence side bring me back to this thing where Andrew post one time. Like I think in 2019, Andrew made this post, so him there have one show, and him said, why is it that every woman know a woman that has been raped, but no man no know a rapist? Which that did stir up one deep conversation because in the back of my mind, me to keep on and say, oh, me no know a rapist. But you see, if you come from the ghetto, everybody in the ghetto knows that everybody knows somebody with a gunman. Police, sergeant, and all them people me grow up around, them know the man them with a gunman, and when them come to all them says, yo, we no make me have to call no name, you know. But the same man them with a bus gun, them sit down and smoke weed with them all them thing there. Because that's how Jamaica run. It's a Jamaica lawless, you know. From the top to the bottom, we feel like so we have a system of rules and law. Jamaica lawless bad. And it's just that when it come down to it, politicians leave some of these marginalized areas for police themselves because at the end of the day, them no want to go in there because me see gunman drunk already and I clean them gun and just a bus shot. And when police pull up, police stay 200 feet away and I watch and I say, yo, what going up this one? You go check. No, you go check. And watch the police them just listen to this man just fire half shot until about 30 minutes later. Them say, yo, him not kill nobody. We can't go about our business. And them just drive off.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It don't make no sense. Jamaica is a lawless nation. And even most of the people who are police, they only decide to become police because some of them are hungry and they want to eat food. Me know man when them going to the JDF, them say first time them eat real food in their life.
That's true.
Just because. So when the same things happen, we can't even do a thing about it. Some people only know it when they knock on them door, but everybody in a marginalized area knows somebody who is a gunman. Them just not say nothing because it not affect them at the point in time. I just human nature. Jamaican human nature.
Well, hey. Yes, Currie, I've seen it, and I was trying to find it just now while Gio had the floor. I thought I'd saved it, and I wanted to highlight it, and it's glad that you brought that up. But I missed it. But there's over 20, I think, firearms that was, seized, and a whole lot of ammunition. I mean, hopefully before the show ends, I will try to highlight it. I have 6 more minutes. Before we go. All right, guys. So we get it. The only setback for that, Gio, and I see a lot of people saying this. And I see comrades using it, but I'm not gonna fall in that narrative in terms of pushing that. But it's true though, being that Jamaica is a corrupt country and the JCF within its space, they have corrupt police. And for a law to be passed where you get 15 to life, it is possible that many Jamaicans, guns will now then be planted on them when police stop you and search you, and that's the only issue I have. What is there to protect an innocent man? And that's the only issue. But am I going to use that as a deal breaker to say no? No, I'm not going to use it. Because some of us, we consciously make the decision to walk around with guns. We know that it is illegal, even if we now really do nothing with it, but just to show off and just to say, okay, we're brandishing guns or whatever. So at the end of the day, I will not use that narrative to say, hey, nah, I'm not supporting it. I'm in full support of that. Anything to bring peace. Will that stop it? I don't think so. because the country itself, as you say, Gio, it's we're a lawless, we're a very acidic nation, and until we fix that psyche of our people, then I think that a lot of these changes will become effective. But until then, who am I to sit aside and say it won't work? But let's see if that will make a difference. It might add a dent, but I don't think it will clean up the country in its entirety. This is very petty to me, and just for laughs, because I have a few more minutes left. And guys, I know you guys have seen it. It's old news, but it is first I'm playing it on this show. This is the right versus the golden saga. Let's take a look at it, and then we discuss it, guys. Yo, Mark, a bad man, you know. Mark said, yo, I send you for do this. Yo, was it disrespect though? I mean,
Nah,
he's not, you know, he's no longer a member of the JLP. So why would he be working with the JLP? He's pretty much, would you still call it the opposition, even though he still holds a seat?
no, he's not the opposition. I mean, I feel like say disrespect. Listen, like as far as I'm concerned, what is disrespect is the fact that that man is still in parliament. That is what is disrespect. You can bust a woman backside, beat her, you can thump her, slap her with a stool, and still sit in the House of Parliament. That is what is disrespect. You matter
Whose
about,
fault is that though? Whose fault is that?
like I'm saying, the system
Isn't it
itself is
our
broken.
fault? Isn't
Yeah,
it
the
our
system
fault?
itself
No,
is
it's not
broken.
our fault.
The system itself is broken, but he wants people to point out the fact that when he matter to the people, he say, oh, the fact that the man said to him, I send them, send you. I must somebody send you. That's what you find to be disrespectful. You couldn't even take that to court and win a defamation case. The fact that you could beat a woman and still sit in parliament is disrespectful, not just to women in general, but disrespectful to the nation. Mr. Right is still Mr. Wrong, and him to shut him out because me don't know who still have him in there. You know about him. Him lucky said the man never slap him with a stool and say I send them, send you. And that should have gone. Then you could have a case.
Yes. You think he was disrespect, Mr. Wright, enough of himself with big time people, we know abuse females?
I agree with Gio. Why is he even still there? Oh, you're going to talk about, oh, there was no evidence. He did not admit to anything. She did not say this. She did not press charges. All of that gives you all the reason to say, oh, we can just talk because he wasn't clearly identified and blah, 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 and everything is under the sun. And them know him, we know say him, them know say we know say him, and he's still there. And that is why I said initially that they will pretend by putting women in parliament and in certain strategic positions as if they are supportive of women being in power and women doing this and women doing that, when at the same time you're hugging up a man who slap a woman with a stool and him still there a walk proud and represent the people, and people still have him a vote for him and I say they love him and I say that. So I'm right with where I do, because the people who should be standing up and say go away, we're not advocating for any woman beater, an abuser, or whatever, is the ones who still have him there. So,
Yeah,
you see the sham? You see the sham?
Mm-hmm.
Back with them take everything for. What the whole of them are dress up. I got parliament.
All right. In closing, I want to highlight two comments and then we close off. And of course, Shells, I must highlight this one where, of course, she's an advocate. She's of course always, you know, big up to Moyne and her movement. She's not into this, you know, domestic violence thing, but primarily, you know, I mean, she's against violence against women and men. So let me not really, you know, say it as if she's only looking out for the females, but she's also looking out for males as well. All right. So he says that typically it's 5 to 6 years or more for a trial. When can we fix that? True, the prolong the court case and all of that. I have a bridging right now where a case is pending and them just I'll go to trial and a year's me my complaint for, and they're waiting on the police officer to get a subpoena to actually get the witness to come to court, and I'll know. And I think he said that the judge is catching on to the BS. And it looks as if the case is going to be thrown out. Like, when do we fix that? So it's not just arresting people with illegal guns and wanting to give them 15 to life, but how can we fast track? How can we get rid of backlog cases in the court system? And that's another thing, and a very good question. When can we fix that? So it's almost like you're creating, as Gio said, I think we dealt with the traffic thing one time where you extend the corridor, but at the end of the day, it goes right
run wide and then it goes to a bottleneck.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Final comment to highlight. Moin, I agree with you. There's going to be corruption. I hope there isn't. I'm thinking for the positive, but I'm not going to stop it though. I wouldn't say, don't come in with that law. I think it should be passed, but Tariq made a very valid point. Let's deal with the court system so that they can handle it. I mean, I don't know if maybe there are clauses in there that will address that and to fix that. But overall, as Shell say, we are going off an obsolete type of, judicial system. And I think it is time, it needs that overall, fix. Corruption will never leave Jamaica. I blame the people for tolerating all the incompetence of their leaders. Exactly. The people. And we get up every day, oh, Babylon this, Babylon that. But what are we doing about it? We sit down and we blame Babylon when we complain, because that's, hey, complain don't get you nowhere in Jamaica. Guys, thank you so much. It's been an interesting VAL'S Views Live. I appreciate you stopping by. Gio, go back to your wifey. It was your date night. Thank you for giving us 2 hours or hour and a half. We really appreciate it. Shells, thank you so much. Going back to what you were doing. I really appreciate it, guys.
I was making sauce.
I didn't want to bring a business like that to the public. Shells,
It's business.
sauce. Anybody want order sauce? Anybody want order sauce?
I want the marketing.
Sauce we can hold the man. Sauce we can run the man.
Sauce boss.
So lick up Shells if you want some delicious sauce.
Barbecue and sweet and sour and this and that. Yeah, but anyways, I am worried, and I'm leaving with this. I'm worried that we are at a place economically where the poor will be left in a place where we don't want them to be. And yes, we know people can go plant their own food here and plant their own food there, but you still consume goods that you cannot produce. And it's terrible. When I hear the transport minister said fear is going to increase again, right. And I hear another businessman said that tin food is going to, the price for tin food is going to increase. Just when the price of chicken, which is the most consumed meat in this country, has gone to over $300 and something per pound. Chicken back when nobody never used to want is almost $300 per pound in some places, Andrew. Chicken back $200 a pound. And when it's at a place where just when chicken price is too much for people to afford, and they are now turning to tin food, they're going to tell the people that tin food are going to raise again. I'm nervous. I am nervous because even though I work in a job where I am earning above minimum wage, me still have issues nowadays. I am struggling really, really hard to float, right? Can you imagine the man who are earning minimum wage and beyond? What should they do?
Can you imagine?
It's out of this world. Like, it is terrible to be living in Jamaica right now, especially in rural communities where you're not near to the corporate area, and things are delivered to where you live, and you have to pay for all of that. Don't mention gas. Andrew, I used to pay $2,000 and something for a 30-pound gas, and then it moved to $3,000 and little bit. Now, $4,000 and something for a 30-pound gas. I am paying for sewage charge now, and I'm not connected to the main sewage. And they're telling me that I have to pay it. Electricity, it is terrible. And this platform is here, and I am just using it and hoping that my people are paying attention, because I hope to God that something is done to control the dollar, and something is done when they're going to Parliament April with the budget, raise the minimum wage, and people pay, because that $4,000 that's going to go on teachers' pay, and perhaps nurse and some police is a drop in the bucket. I mean, I tell you, say it's terrible. Call and ask anybody out here who don't own a business and certain things, how them are manage. Terrible.
Yeah. Gio. Your 30 seconds.
I am fearful that the continuous miseducation of our people is going to leave too many people not understanding how to bring about the changes in the different things that Shell's just highlighted out. And that's where I leave it.
Good. All right. So both government and citizens who sit on their rumps are
Yes.
to be blamed. Do something about it. The company
Yep.
system definitely not bring no change. Even
Yep.
though some of us, our hands are tied, but I think we sit too long to allow our hands to be tied and our feet to be tied. It's just like the elephant. When you're younger, when the baby elephant would get tied to that stake and thinking that he couldn't break free, when he becomes an adult elephant, he still thinks that he's tied and doesn't know his strength. Just be strong. Let us move to a better Jamaica. In fact, let us move to being better people. And
Yes.
you'll see a better Jamaica. Shells,
Build our resilience too.
thank you so
Yeah.
much. Love you guys. Love you guys. Peace, love, and light. All right. And we'll definitely, chat next time.
Good night,
Thank you, guys.
everybody. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Shells. Say a
I
good
said
night.
good night, everybody. ITV, social media, everybody. Good night, and thank you so much.
All right, Gia. Peace and love, Gia. Go on to your wife. All right.
Oh.
Cool. All right, guys. We have come to the end of another VVL podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Catch y'all next week, same time, same place, as we bring you thought-provoking, unfiltered, unorthodox, and of course, where we analyze and dissect current affairs, social and political views. Thank you guys so much. I'm your boy, Andrew VAL'S, saying peace. I'm out of here. Hype TV, how you picture entertainment in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. Thank you for having us every week. Of course, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel at VAL'S Views Live, and also follow us right here on Facebook. Hype TV, one love. Facebook, one love. YouTube, one love. Moyin, everybody. Queen Shaq, of course, you don't know. Tariq, I don't want to start calling names because I don't want to get myself in trouble. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace. Catch y'all next week. I'm out of here. Peace, peace, peace.